Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow. In today's episode, I got an interesting episode where we're going to talk more about the function of a club. Okay, so I was basically, again, sorting out and going through my old archives of different things, and I found a document that I was, writing notes on. I want to get into the topic of this particular document, and then basically, this is one of those episodes where I knew I was going to, I planned and knew I was going to write, and now finally getting to it. All right. So before we continue, I want to remind everyone to go down below, click like, and click subscribe. Again, any sort of comments about that. Again, we're going to be talking about clubs and that kind of stuff. So again, if you have any experiences of when you were in a fan club and that kind of stuff, right down below. It does definitely help out the YouTube algorithm. If anything else, at least press the like button. Then YouTube knows to show this video to other people. All right. If you want to support me financially, I do have the super thanks button as well as the Patreon and PayPal. I just recently updated my website. So now there's a wealth of photographs and old pictures. At least the textual part of my convention stories and that kind of stuff, all available now. So again, you can go to www.anikionline.com and you can definitely look at all those pictures and that kind of stuff there. Do have a look and laugh and read those stories and all my FAQs and all the little the sort of links and that kind of stuff all sort of presented there. Again, it's designed in a format so that hopefully Google will be able to search out the things much easier than just trying to use the Google, the YouTube search engine, because the YouTube search engine is like just horrible. But anyway, I'm doing more updates and that kind of stuff, so I'll be getting more of those episodes and more clips and that kind of stuff available as I release them. Okay, so do look out for that. All right. Anyway, so today's topic is about fan clubs, okay? And particularly the topic that I wanted to talk about is the function or the mission statement of a fan club. So one of the things I was doing was, again, I was looking through my old documents and little books of notes and that kind of stuff. And one of the things I did was back in the days, like almost 7-8 years ago, right? I was appearing on the channel with the Happy Console Gamer, right? And my thought on the matter was basically, at the end of the video, they were talking about, my contact information, that kind of stuff, and whatnot. But I didn't want to say that I was running a YouTube channel at that particular time, because I said I didn't really have a YouTube channel started at that time. Again, Johnny started way before I did, so that, obviously he has a lot more contact, a lot more followers than I did. And the main reason is that I didn't want to basically go on a channel and say that, hey, I've got a YouTube channel, and I didn't have a lot of videos on it. Because obviously, if you got lots of users and that kind of stuff, and you say, hey, go check out his channel, and then you get all these users that come over, and then you end up with lots of visitors to your channel, and they're looking for something to view. They want examples of what your work is like, but you don't have a lot of videos to show, right? And you weren't making videos on a consistent basis, so there wasn't a lot of new content, and so you'll end up not converting a lot of those users to new users, right, or new subscribers, right? So one of the things I wanted to do was make sure I had a repertoire of videos ready for those people, so that when I do a good video, I can then say, okay, yeah, I'm running a YouTube channel. And here's what stuff that you can watch, right? So when they arrive, now they have 500 videos that they can watch, right? That was sort of my projection, my goal. And so the way I was doing it is that I had a sort of a flow chart, a topics tree, if you will, right? Branches and subcategories and that kind of stuff of topics and subtopics of things that I wanted to talk about, right? Or things that, hey, if I'm going to talk about this, when it's, for example, fan clubs, I should really talk about what the purpose of a fan club, what what we did as a fan club, some of the functions that we did as a fan club. Obviously I showed videos of us doing videos, those presentations when we did the videos at like Chow Lake Community Center, at Douglas College. We upgraded to actually doing conventions and that kind of stuff. So I had sub points and plot points and that kind of stuff all sort of made out. So one of the pages I have is this page here, which I just kind of just scanned in and showed you here. Okay. The topic was basically, pertaining to the history of the Vancouver Japanese Animation Society, and then the logic of the topic was what was going to be our mission statement, what was the purpose of having the club, right? And you said, when you never really think about it, right? You just think, okay, yeah, we have an anime club at our university, or something like that, and or I'm joining an anime club, and you kind of think to yourself, well, you kind of know when you kind of think about, you kind of sort of understand, yeah, I'm joining it because, I'm because I'm interested in anime and I want to know and learn more about anime type of thing, right? But is that really the function of the club? So I kind of thought about it and looked at it in terms of a history, okay? Because obviously the function of a club back then is still a little different than what a function of the club would be like in modern day. Because obviously, I just went to the Anime Matsuri, down in Richmond, and they all obviously had people from the University of British Columbia. They have an anime club. They had Simon Fraser University. They have an anime club, and even now BCIT, the British Columbia Information Institute of Technology, has a anime club. So basically, a lot of the major colleges and universities here in Vancouver has an animation club. Okay, but their function obviously is going to be different than what, let's say, the Vancouver Japanese Animation Society had back in the 1990s, right? So I'm just going to kind of cover over some of the points I've written in this thing and sort of discuss it to you in a form a little more formally. Because as I said, all this stuff is probably in your mind, it's kind of in your thought, but I kind of want to outline it and document it in case you didn't think about that particular part, and for also the people who are also watching this, trying to learn information about how anime clubs kind of functioned back in the day. Okay, so again, I was 1989. I'm just finishing doing all these the fan subbing of Orange Road. I've already been writing lots of fan letters to different CFO groups and that kind of stuff. And again, trying to get information about Japanese animation. Getting trading anime videos and on video cassette as well as anime audio cassettes. I've been going down to Sophia's bookstore, getting in all this Japanese stuff. Ordering Japanese magazines, obviously Anime New Type and Anime V. And getting different Japanese art books, okay? But that's just me doing all that. Now, what happens if you're just a random guy, like the Happy Console Gamer, doesn't know anybody else, doesn't know any other thing except maybe go to the comic book store and likes anime, likes this thing called Megazone 23, or maybe saw something like Macross, but he doesn't know what else there's out there, like. There's got to be more. Where do you get it? How do you get it? Like, how do I meet more people that have similar interests than me? He's not going to be able to look at it. Go to a newspaper and open up a newspaper and say, "Oh, there's a classified ad for hey, anime club," or something like that. I mean, that's probably not going to happen. And I really doubt, actually, even in the larger cities, anything like that has happened. So you're not going to find it in quote, that kind of a thing, right? So the most important thing that we thought of, as when I started thinking of trying to make this anime club, is our main purpose was to try to get the general public, normal people, to know what anime is, right? Because obviously most people, they think, they know what a cartoon is, right? We all know our Scooby Doo's and Powerpuff Kids and all this other stuff, and whatever, My Little Pony and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, okay, we know what a cartoon is. We know what Walt Disney cartoons are, but what is exactly anime, right? A lot of people don't know that. It's sort of like trying to tell people, what sushi is without actually, showing and describing, what that is. It's just a term, a Japanese term, just like anime is just a Japanese term. We just now have to put the meaning and the focus on that, right? And just a simple definition like, well, it's just, raw fish on rice. Well, I mean, that's that's really general. Just like you can say, well, yeah, that's just cartoons made in Japan, right? I mean, it's so simplified. It's not very accurate, and it needs to be explained in a more detailed way. So I, in some ways, it's almost like a public service. It's sort of an educational sort of thing where we're trying to present to the regular, everyday people that, hey, there's other kind of genre. It's called anime. It's a type of animation. You may be familiar with it, as a cartoon or whatever. That's just made in Japan. It's got a lot of different cultural things in it. It's done a certain different way. They enter it in areas which are not exactly made for your kids. Okay, so different topics and that kind of stories can be told. Right, this sort of thing is in that sort of stuff. So basically, to make public awareness of the fact that there is such a thing as what exactly is anime. Right, so that's one function. The other function is to provide a source for that particular thing called anime. So obviously, it's great that hey, this is this thing called anime, right? But just like saying, well, here is something called sushi, doesn't mean that you know where to get it, where to order it from, where to how to consume it, how to basically enjoy it, right? If you just know the meaning, well, okay, that's great. I mean, is that just the same as slicing open for filleting a fish or whatever, and just slapping it on a pan of rice, and then there we go? Is that sushi? Well, no, obviously not. I mean, as much as you'd like to try to create it and make it in your own house, there's a technique. Obviously, there's a whole process to it, right? So just like anime, you have to have a way to supply it. So to a way to show what it is. If a person is particularly interested in knowing what a particular anime is, or like to go to experience or learn about the anime, the anime club is supposed to be able to provide a vehicle, maybe some information, at least maybe present and show some anime so that they can see and find out what that is. So that's how we kind of came up with every month on Sunday we'll have a meeting at a community center like Trolley Community Center, or at a college or school like Langara College in New Westminster, or maybe we'll have an anime convention or something at SFU, UBC, at the Sheraton Hotel or something like that. The Vancouver Convention Center, something like that, where people can then come and then they can see anime, they can learn more about anime, they can meet other people that have the interest of anime, which then brings me to my next point. Well, what else should the anime club do other than basically try to first of all, educate people on what anime is, basically supply or show some anime to people. But the third thing is to be an information sort of source for people who are interested in anime, right? Because obviously, just like the sushi example, okay, so you tell me what sushi is, right? Okay, can you tell me where I could get the sushi, said sushi, right? So you would then think, well, okay, well, I should have like maybe a list of restaurants that can you can buy sushi from, or provide or have like people who are sushi chefs who can explain or demonstrate how that is made and all this other stuff. So, just using that sort of same example, you would have to, kind of maybe have a directory of where you could rent, anime in Vancouver here, where go to tell people that, hey, there's Sophia's bookstore, there's a Wasia bookstore, you can get books and that kind of stuff from them. A lot of the meetings that we did when we went to Trout Lake, and even in Douglas College, during the intermissions and whatnot, I'd bring some back issues of some Animedia, New Type, and Anime V magazines. And again, they're all written in Japanese and everything like that. And all these people who are looking at them, 95% of them have no clue what any of them are saying. They just look at the pictures and some numbers and that kind of stuff, and saying, wow, this looks cool, this looks interesting, I don't know what the hell it is, but it looks really cool, or this thing, hey, this looks like Dragon Ball or whatever, but they don't know what it actually is, what the picture's for, right? It's it could be for a CD, it could be for a Laserdisc, it could be a VHS, it could be for a video game. They have no idea. It's just there it is, right? This is a picture of Dragon Ball. Hey, it looks cool, great. And that's it. The majority of the people who come to the club will just look at that, and they're just interested in the artwork. They're interested in the pictures and whatnot. And maybe something really special does catch their eye. Maybe it's like something that looks like Dungeons and Dragons or something or whatever. It looks really medieval like that. And then they'll go, okay, they'll question, well, this looks really cool. What is it? What is it exactly? And maybe where I can kind of get it, type of thing, right? So here is where another function of the club would be, is not only to to provide a source or give information, right? Like not only where can you get anime and that kind of stuff, but here are some examples of some anime that's coming out, and whatnot. It basically needs to provide the service of introducing people of like minds together. Okay, so that they can socialize, they can ask questions, get their questions answered. Okay, get your opinions on stuff, like because it's usually then a new person getting into anime, going, well, I'm interested in normally science fiction shows like Star Wars and Star Trek or something like that. Is there any sort of animes that are kind of like that, like big space, epic space war battles type of thing, or anything that's sci-fi based or anything like that? Then you can ask other people what they've seen and what they think, and say, what give me an example of good anime that you like, right? And then you might say Macross or Megazone or Gundam or something like that, right? So the ability to have that, the ability to talk to somebody else is really important, because as I said, we're not in the internet era where you can just kind of go to Google and say anime, best anime, top anime, recommendations for or whatever, right? Or AI, tell me some animes that are about sci-fi or something like that or whatever, right? Again, those things don't exist. Okay, a real person needs to be there to tell you or to talk to. In order to be able to come up with this. So that's another key purpose for an anime club, is to basically introduce you to a community of other people that are also interested in anime. Okay, so that you can not just talk about anime, but obviously get all your anime questions answered, suggestions for anime. Hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, I didn't understand the ending of Evangelion. Can you explain it to me? Right? And then, of course, bounce theories off each other about what the hell exactly happened there. And, things like that, for example, become topics of, theory, of, interpretation, what you thought, try to help clear up things like that, for example. Hopefully that this episode will help kind of steer you in the right direction, kind of steer what we felt, right? Trying to run an anime club why we decided to write this anime club, and exactly why I wrote this heading with all these subchapters when I was making the episode, making a list of ideas and episodes to talk about. And again, finally, now 7 years, 8 years later, I've actually gone through and actually concisely put together this episode to tell you exactly why we decided to open up something called the Vancouver Japanese Animation Society. All right. Hope this is good information for you. And again, I'll get into more episodes because, again, I kind of uncovered a notebook that has all my kind of ideas and points, and I'm going to go through them and kind of go, okay, yeah, I haven't really made an episode that talks about this. I'll make another one that talks about this. So again, make sure you subscribe below, and we'll get more and more about episodes about that, right? So, until next time, I will see you again.